I played, 15 years at Cincinnati Bengals. I was a quarterback coming out of college and was converted to cornerback when I got into camp. Coach Paul Brown, when drafted me, was like a slash wide receiver. In other words, an athlete. When I got into camp, he said, we're going to, put you at the cornerback position, and it worked out real well. I played 15 years. And then at fourth, when I retired with 65 career interceptions, I led the conference 3 times in interceptions in 1976. In my last 2 years, when I played 82 and 83, I led the conference in interceptions. So, good career, and happy I accomplished what I did at the time that I played.
You grew up in Florida. How did you choose Florida A&M and not some other college?
Well, during the time when integration was just beginning, my high school coach wanted me to go to Wake Forest. A lot of my friends that I played with in high school, we had over 7, 8 guys that went to play pro football from my high school, not at a different time, but I played before on the team that I played. So they were at FAMU, so I wanted to follow them up there. And matter of fact, one is in Chicago now, Major Hazelton. He played with Chicago Bears for a few years. He was drafted, I think, in the 3rd round. So he was a wide receiver. I was a quarterback, so we paired pretty well in high school. And I wanted to continue to be a teammate with him when I went on to college. So that's how I went to FAMU. And of course, Alonzo J. Gaither was the coach who won over 207 games while there at FAMU. He was probably one of the most successful black coaches during that particular time. He and Eddie Robinson, before Eddie Robinson, he was Coach Jake Gaither. So, he was the one who wanted his players agile, hostile, and mobile. That was his old saying, and be productive citizens when you're finishing your career. Go back to the community and play a major role. So he was my coach, and a lot of his former players were coaches, high school coaches. They left. He had that network, so when I finished high school, it was my coach. Was, I didn't have to go anywhere. He just, automatically took me to FAMU because he was getting 2 of our players every year from my high school. So that was a network that he had at that particular time.
What was it like playing quarterback at Florida A&M back then in the late '60s?
Well, it was a lot of predominant black quarterbacks. But back then, during that time, you athlete. You could run, you could throw. I remember Tennessee State had a guy named L.J. Dickey, who called him Lord Prayer, who was the number 1 draft choice for the Oakland Raiders that year. Matter of fact, it was he and Kenny Stabler. They were both drafted in the 1st round. Dickey was moved to a wide receiver, and the rest is history. Kenny Stabler stayed at quarterback. You had Joe Gilliam during that time who played at Pittsburgh. I mean, you had Freddie Solomon. I mean, there's a lot of predominant black quarterbacks who were good quarterbacks who were, really moved to other positions because they were athletes, so to speak. And they weren't like someone won 6'3", 6'4". James Harris was an exception. He was like 6'3", 6'4", prototype quarterback, drop back quarterback who probably couldn't play cornerback at that particular time. He was a prototype, quarterback who had the physical attributes that they were looking for at that particular time. I was more of a scrambler, could run. I was running like 4.4 in the 40, and I could move backpedal and do all those kind of things. Some of us were more the wide receiver, but didn't get a chance to play quarterback during that era.
Did you ever tell Paul Brown when he drafted you, listen, I want to play quarterback here?
No, I was just happy to be drafted. I was drafted in the 6th round. At that time, they had 17 rounds, and I really didn't think I was going to get a shot being a quarterback, a white quarterback at that. But when I was drafted, I didn't even think about it. I just wanted the opportunity. And like I said, three of my players that I played with in high school that each year had gone on to the NFL, and I wanted to be the next one going. So a lot of people felt that I wouldn't make it because I was quarterback. Wasn't on any special team. I played quarterback. I was protected, didn't get hit in practice, all those kind of things. So they didn't think I would make it because of never played before. But, I had the physical ability, and Paul Brown recognized the talent and gave me an opportunity, and I took advantage of it.
How long did it take you to get adjusted to playing cornerback?
It really took me about 4 or 5 years actually to learn the game. Uh, I made some mistakes. I started playing my first year. Guy from Purdue named Charlie. I can't think of Charlie's last name now. He got hurt in about the fourth game, and I started playing. He never got his job back. But Charlie King, that was his name. He was from Purdue. And in practice, I didn't have any bad habits. My first coach was Tom Bass, who was the defense coordinator for the Bengals at the time. He went on to be the defense coordinator with Tampa Bay when they had the zone, the Tampa 3 defense. That was Tom Bass. And he came to FAMU and showed me what he wanted me to work on during the summer. And I worked on that and went to camp. I made some mistakes early, but I was learning. And through trial and error against some good receivers on that time, Charlie Taylor, Lance Allworth. I mean, those people, they got me a few times, but then the long run, I learned from them, from the mistakes. I could keep a book on, how they beat me and what I need to do the next time we played. And over time, that was my Bible, so to speak, that I referred to on the receiver that I faced. And eventually, I learned the game and physically never did get hurt. So that helped too. I was always in condition. I weighed 183 pounds the entire time I played. So I took care of my body during the off season and off season. So that helped also. And then longevity that I had. I played over, got the record for playing in more games than anybody at Cincinnati. So I think that played a role as well.
Was it tough playing for the Bengals at that time in the 70s? Because everybody thought about Cincinnati as a baseball town, and Sparky Anderson, the Big Red Machine, you guys were kind of like afterthoughts.
Well, I came in '69, and you're right. It was a Big Red Machine, and a lot of us were friends. Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, George Foster. I mean, it was Perez. I mean, it was a whole lot of, great baseball players. And we, 1970, I think, was the first time. We were the youngest NFL franchise to go into the playoffs, and we played against the Baltimore Colts. And they won it all that year. That was Unitas, I think. It was his last year or so, but they won the Super Bowl. But we got in the playoffs, and we, 7 I think, in 7. I don't know how many times we got in the playoffs. And then eventually in 1981, we went to the Super Bowl. We lost to 49ers 2 times. But that year we went to the Super Bowl in 1981. You could see it changed over. I mean, the fans just got behind us, and it was, it kind of balanced off, and, then we had some pretty good runs during that particular time. So, but yeah, it was initially just a baseball town until we started winning and getting in the playoffs. And then, like I said, we played in the Freezer Bowl against the Chargers that year, and that's when they got the Who They deal. And it's something that they do right now, the chant, the Who They chant, but that originated from 1981-82 season.
Was there ever a game you played in that was as cold as that playoff game against the Chargers?
That's the coldest game I ever played in. That was, but when you win, it makes you can absorb a lot of that cold. But if I had lost, it probably still would have been devastating. It was devastating either way. That was a cold, cold day, and I think 59 below was the wind chill factor that particular time. But we persevered and won. And I guess those days we were playing in Cleveland and Chicago and Buffalo, and they had that old stadium. And OJ and I started our career at the same time. You never can adjust, really adapt, but you just endure. And it's mind over matter. And that's what we did on those particular days. You just mind over matter. When I did what we had to do in order to get success and win, and that's what we did.
Was there a receiver that gave you a hard time that you took?
There were a lot of great receivers I played with from '69 to '83. I really thought Paul Warfield was poetry in motion. You hear that? I hear some of the guys talking about that now, but he really was. He was just an exceptional receiver, I feel. Who all his moves looked off the same tree, up the same route, which is hard to read. And then you have people like the Cliff Branches, the Harold Jackson, the little small guys who were hard to cover because they were so quick. coming off the ball and things like that. But then you had Allworth, you had Charlie Taylor. Bromowitz wasn't fast, but he ran the same similar moves. You couldn't read him, but he could set you up and then get by you. But there were so many great receivers. I hate to call his name, but Warfield was one that I really felt stood out during the time that I played.
They said the only one who could stop Paul Warfield was Don Shula.
He was accepted, even in his warm-up. I mean, he didn't say much, quiet guy, but boy, he was. I thought he was a heck of a receiver.
Did playing quarterback in college and high school help you to transition to cornerback because you could think in the quarterback's mind what he was going to do? If you were quarterback, you would do the same thing?
Well, I always felt that I was very knowledgeable as a quarterback and even as a defensive back. I learned from mistakes and I also learned from other people's mistakes. I watched a lot of films and I felt that helped me as well. And again, I think the biggest thing for my success was that I didn't have any bad habits. So I learned the position without having to overcome some bad habits, and I think that really helped me along the way. But I'm just sure quarterback, having played quarterback, definitely played a hand in me being able to, read defenses and read and knowing offense, because as an offensive player, you look at defense. As a defensive player, you look at offense. So having been an offensive player, it definitely helped me as far as thinking that this was what happened in certain situations. Sure, it had a different effect on me.
You were the quiet cornerback, and they say Lamar Parrish was more of the talker. Is that true?
Yeah, Lamar was flamboyant. Lamar with all these flashy colors, yellow. I mean, you name it, he was flashy. He got all the attention. And we were roommates. We talked about position, receivers, and a great football player as well. I think that I always akin myself to the Willie Mays, Hank Aaron deal. Willie Mays was always flashy. Hank Aaron was more of a subdued type guy, but they both got the job done. But Willie probably had more home runs than Hank Aaron had more home runs than Willie Mays. I had more interceptions than Lamar, but Lamar returned punts and kickoffs, which also put him more in the limelight. Coach Brown told me, I just play cornerback. I made my rookie year, I ran some kickoff backs and some punts, but, that was not my deal. My deal was to play the right cornerback. I think it hurt me in a way because I was so low-key. Then, I just did my job. I think even if people talk about why I'm not in the Hall of Fame now, I think that they say you're not in the Pro Bowl. Lamar was so flashy, he got all the attention. And I didn't, even though my stats, when you look at my stats and you look at what we played, we both, as a pair, were probably for a long time, probably the best pair of quarterbacks in the NFL. And then we were in a small market, and, we didn't get to play like a lot of people. Our defense was very good. Our overall defense was good. We had guys that were even going to Pro Bowl at that particular time. And that's one of the flaws, but I tend to disagree. I mean, you have to look at your record and look at individuals, but then I don't make those decisions. But I'm happy about my career. And like I said, I think Lamar and I both were a good tandem in the NFL, probably one of the best tandems for a long time before he left and went to Washington. But those things are out of my control. But, yeah, I thought I had a good career.
So who would get the number one receiver, you or Lamar?
Well, we didn't flip-flop. Most of the time I got the pass receiver. I was on the X, splitting side. So a lot of time I got that receiver. He was on the left side, which was the right side on offense. So a lot of times people ran the ball that way, strong side. He got the flanker. I got the X, and he got the Z, the flanker. So whoever that receiver was, that's who we dealt with. So I don't, sometimes. The team had a better Z than they had an X, but I got the speedy guy most of the time.
So you would get the Lynn Swan and he would get the John Stallworth.
That's exactly. Well, no, I got whoever the Z and X was, depending on the team that we played. But when we played Pittsburgh, I usually had Stallworth. He had Swan. Because Swan was the Z, I think, Stallworth was the X.
Okay.
Yeah, just the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, you think of those Bengal teams, there's a bunch of guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. You, Lamar
Oh,
Parrish,
Ken
Ken
Anderson.
Anderson.
Yeah, Casanova. We had a great secondary. Casanova only played 5 years, but he did a good job in those 5 years. He only became a dentist, but Bernard Jackson, who's deceased now, but we had a great secondary, and we had some good team. But like I said, we didn't get the recognition. I mean, we played good defense too, but small market. And then we probably, during the time Pittsburgh had Mayor Blunt, another good friend of mine, and like I said, stalwart. I talked to stalwart, some of those guys who we played every year, and even with Cleveland, they had some pretty good teams. And Houston, when they had Kenny Burrs and all those guys. Charlie Jones came through during that time, and we had some great receivers on our team. Charlie Jones, I had the Curtis, who I really think was really doesn't get the credit he did. He was probably one of the best receivers, not the best in the NFL, but you don't hear anything about him, but because he ran the ball and didn't throw as much, but he was a great receiver. And then going against those guys in practice every day just made us better. Yeah,
what was it like when? Exactly. What was it like when Forrest Gregg took over?
Oh, it was just Forrest is one of my favorite coaches. He came in with the discipline. We had all kind of talent. We just needed discipline. And Coach Homer Rice was good, great motivator as well. But Forrest brought the discipline to the program that we needed at that particular time. We had a lot of young guys, Eddie Edwards, Ross Brown, and we had Pete Johnson. I mean, we had some guys that were good, but we just needed young, but they just needed somebody with a strong hand. They needed the discipline, and Forrest Gregg brought that to the program at that particular time, and that's what we needed.
Was that Super Bowl probably the highlight of your career?
Oh, definitely. It was something that we should have won, but should have not good enough. It's ironic that the coach that beat us was an assistant coach there during my 7 or 8 years with me at Cincinnati, Bill Walsh. And, when Coach Brown retired, then he named Bill Johnson the coach, and I don't know what happened. And he left, and he went on, and he eventually got with San Francisco, and the rest is history. He won, 3 or 4 Super Bowls. But that's just the way it works sometimes. But
could you tell Bill Walsh was going to become the great coach he was when he was an assistant coach with the Bengals?
Well, we were so competitive in practice with our practices. Coach Walsh was, challenging us, and our defensive coordinators and backfield coach. We had Chuck Weber. We had Tom Bass. I had what's his name? There's a couple more that I had, but we were. And then Dick LeBeau. Dick LeBeau came, but Dick LeBeau came. I think Walsh had left. But we were always so competitive in practice. We worked hard in practice, and I think that made us better as defensive back. Chris Collier was talking about the times when I used to look at it. I used to, try to give him pointers and stuff in practice. But we worked real hard, and it carried on into the game.
You're one of the top 5 interceptors in NFL history, but you're the only one not in the Hall of Fame who's eligible. You mentioned that, again, you were quiet. Is there anyone give you any reason why you're not in?
I really can't answer that. I just went into another Hall of Fame, the Black College Hall of Fame, which is, I think, a very prestigious Hall of Fame as well, because during the time that we played, all of the records and stuff were held by guys coming out of the black colleges. You had Walter Page, Jerry Rice, Jamil Blunt, Harry. I mean, there's just so many of them that came from predominant, black schools that had great careers in the NFL. Because at that time, some of us couldn't go to, a major institution. But,
right, Deacon Jones.
Look at it, that Deacon. It's a list goes on. Deacon Paul Humphreys, Curly Cup, Deacon Jones. I mean, it goes on and on. When you look at those people who are in the Hall of Fame, you look where the schools they came from. They went to predominantly black schools. And it's hard for me to explain. I mean, I've done everything that I can do. Then they say, well, they're holding it against you because I was in the Pro Bowl. that's as far as you know how the pro go. That's on popularity. There was guys, I even in 76, Lamar and I the best friends in the world. Lamar was hurt half of the season. I had 9 interceptions and picked off 3 in the last game against Joe Namath. I remember Charlie Winters was the defensive back coach. He said, "Now I know they can't. They won't overlook you." And I mean all pro and all those kind of things. So you're talking about you gonna hold that against me because of the Pro Bowl, which I didn't particularly want to play it. I didn't ever want to get hurt. Chance of getting hurt anyway. But I mean, it's a teacher's thing, and you know, I would love to have that, but that was not because of my ability or lack of ability. I just one of those things that I felt that should have and never did. But if you look at my other record, I mean, I made the conference 3 times. I guess I averaged 3 or 4 interceptions per year my entire career. So you know, I led the conference my last 2 years in interception, 82, which is a strike season, and then 83. I mean, I had 8 interceptions. So the record speaks for itself. So, but you know, that's something I can't explain, and you know, the other part I get so many people asking, why aren't I? When you look at some of the guys who are already in there, and you know, a lot of people felt that my career was better than somebody that's already in there.
No, you're absolutely right. You were quiet, but you still weren't.
Yeah, that's it. They called me a rattler for nothing. I was also intimidated too. I mean, I played not only the pass, I played in our system with Corey Brown. You had to play pass and run. So it wasn't like, you know, just playing pass.
So when Earl Campbell was running through the middle, you couldn't run away from him.
No, I was on the outside. I was glad I was on the outside. I wasn't inside the Free State. He was a load. He was really, I mean, his thigh was 1 thigh was bigger than both of mine. I had big thighs, but he was some football player with speed. He was an athlete. There was some great rivalries during that time. You know, the Steel Curtain, and Cleveland had some great football players during that era. That whole conference was tough during that particular time, but Pittsburgh was the one that went on and got all the glory. But it was a good conference.